So we're going to go ahead and get into it as we bring in the new year. We want to not necessarily focus on resolutions, but focus on just living our life with intention. So I'm going to let Dee take it away.
Hey, everybody. It's a notebook night. So today's topic, living intentionally. I'm smiling because I am looking forward to 2025. I'm not going into it begrudgingly, sad, sick, worried, full of fear. I'm excited. So we've been living intentionally for a while. But today's topic, I'm going to kind of break down our process and share it with you all, and hopefully somebody will get what they need out of it, right? All right. What is living intentionally? It's making choices and taking actions that are based on your personal values, beliefs, and goals. It involves thinking ahead and choosing things that will positively affect your life. So it's the opposite of being on autopilot. Rather than acting on impulse, and rather than being reactionary to things, and it's more about being proactive in your life
Then react
instead of being reactive. The benefits of living intentionally are having a positive mindset, reaching your goals, having more clarity, being present in the now, again, not on autopilot, and being focused and committed to your life and to your overall well-being. When you live intentionally, you have less stress and you live your life with purpose, which makes your life more meaningful. So, as we know, it's December and we're going right into 2025, and you want to set the stage for the first day of the new year and really for the rest of your life. It's time for us to actively participate in our own life, but to focus more so on our overall well-being as we do our day-to-day. So periodically, I'm going to ask some questions. And for those that catch it on the replay, write these down. And these can be like journal entries for yourself to focus forward, right? Are you going to be down, disappointed, and depressed for 2025? Or also, are we focusing on complaining about the old things or the bad things, or are we focused on changing? Because when you're complaining, you can't change.
Mm-hmm. Can we go back to the other
Go ahead.
question, just to elaborate on it a little bit, unless you were going to plan to talk about the opposite, where you, and these are questions for each individual to ask themselves, are you going to allow, or am I going to allow myself to be down, disappointed, or depressed going into next year? Somebody made a comment, say, don't nothing change but just another year. But see, every day is a chance to enhance your life. It doesn't mean that just because we're going into the new year, that's the only reason why we want these changes. I know, as for me, myself, every single day, I want to become a better person. And then sometimes in life, things come up where we have setbacks. So we take those moments or those setbacks and say, what can I learn from this situation so that I can, be set, not let my setback keep me back, but allow this setback to set me up for success, set me up for being a better person, set me up for creating less resistance, or creating less resistance in my life, or allowing negative situations to pull me back and keep me back. So going into, the question, are we going to allow ourselves to be down and depressed? A lot of people have had situations in their life that has caused them to be depressed. So what you have to ask yourself is, what can I do to make the best out of my situation? Even if it's losing a loved one, someone close in our life, if you think about it, that individual that may have transitioned on, that individual really wants you to live your best life and your blessed life. And in order to do that, we sometimes have to change our way of thinking about things. Maybe even take some of those memories and dwell on the good times, so that, we can find some joy in our life. Even if we lose someone very close to us, like a life partner, I mean, I can imagine that would be very hard to transition into living your life, or letting your life go on without that individual. But again, keeping in mind that that individual will want you to live your best life and your blessed life. So not allowing the different things that has happened to us, whether it's a loss of a job, which caused the loss of finances, or a change in health status, those different things, changing the way we view the situations. Like, for example, a lot of times I wake up in pain depending on what's going on in my life, but I still am thankful and grateful that even though I might have pain in my legs, that I'm able to get up and walk, because some people can't walk. So it's all perspective, and every day and throughout the day is a chance to adjust our way of thinking, so that we can, live our life with purpose, live our life with meaning and intention. Just because we've had a bad past don't mean that the rest of our life have to continue to be negative or depressing. It's all about how you look at it. And even if your past have been depressing, if you continue to let that past rule your future, then it's going to continue to be depressed. But if you tell yourself, I'm going to meet people that are enlightening, or I'm going to surround myself with messages and positive information and prayer and things of that nature to uplift my life, to uplift my spirit, to uplift my soul. If you tell yourself, I'm going to change my perspective on what's happening to me, So, and if you do those things, you can have a brighter future.
That's right, Annie. The topic made her say Happy New You instead of Happy New Year.
That part.
There you go. That's what we're talking about. Question. Are you operating out of fear, or are you operating out of faith?
And sometimes, we may personally be used to operating out of fear because of how we were raised, or because of the people that we surround ourselves by. Those people, may have experienced a lot of lack in their life. And because of that, we think the same way. They say birds of a feather flock together, and it can happen. I know for me, I used to have a sense of poverty consciousness because of the way that I grew up. My dad would be like, oh, I don't have the money for the bills, but yet his bills would be paid 3 months in advance sometimes. So it's all about the way you look at things, your perspective. Do you believe that there's a possibility for a brighter future? And maybe if you are on a fixed income, for example, you might say, well, Nurse Chris, how is it that things are going to get better for me? Well, maybe look at your budget and sit down and say, okay, I make this much, and I need to change the way I grocery shop. Maybe I need to buy, more things in a more effective manner. Whereas at the end of the month, I haven't blown my budget. Or if you're a cigarette smoker, maybe I need to stop smoking so my fixed income can take me further. So it's a lot of different things that you can do to change the way that things are going in your life. Or maybe I need a roommate. Or maybe I need to find, some low-income housing. There's different things that we all can do to make a change in our life, no matter where you are, no matter what your circumstances are. Go ahead, baby.
Okay. Back to the scripted part. My baby's on fire today. That's wonderful. It's beautiful. Another question. Are you operating out of doubt and worry, or are you operating out of possibility? Sometimes we have to ask ourselves, what if? And then you fill in the blank for yourself. Instead of saying, why me? Woe is me. So the why me, woe is me is coming from a forsaken place. A what if is open to the possibilities of, what if I've been through and I've gone through and I was surviving, but now I'm about to be thriving, right? What if you were sowing seeds for your future? What if tomorrow's going to be better than today? And so it gets to a point when we have to focus on our now, on our present, not all the past things, not all the trials and tribulations that we've been through. And so it can be overwhelming if you keep looking back. Keep focus on what's behind us. And we're missing out on the little things. Sometimes you just have to focus on the very, very small goodness until it becomes more abundant, right? So another question, ask yourself.
Can I
Go ahead, baby.
when you talk about like focusing on the small things and because until things become more abundant, we did that for about 6 good years of our marriage, did we not?
Oh yeah, I got examples and stuff that I'm gonna
Okay.
get into.
All right, so go
I'm
on.
trying to lay it
Sorry.
out.
Sorry, baby. Go ahead, lay it out.
So a lot of people say, well, I can't be happy or joyful because all my needs aren't met. Well, what are your needs? And what if they all were met? Then what? What would you be doing? What would you be focusing on if you didn't have to worry about the day to day? Because honestly, a lot of us are not struggling to the point that we can't live day to day. We have enough to make it day to day. We might not be living abundantly. We might not have every single thing we desire, but we're also not in complete despair, complete lack either. So the people that are in between, sometimes we focus on what we don't have instead of what we do have, which is enough to mentally take you out, make you tired, make you not want to move forward or move on. Go ahead, baby. I can tell you.
There's people, I mean, we've been exposed, you know, traveling to, you know, here to the Philippines and in the Bali. We've been exposed to people that are happy, that have way less than you've ever thought you didn't have. Okay. Some people that live not even too far from here don't even have electricity
or running water.
That's what I'm about to say. Some people don't even have running water. Some people eat fish, like fish from straight from the ocean that are cheap, that are about this big,
the size of a smelt,
rice and bread every single day, and that's and water, and that's all they eat.
And literally drink. For breakfast, lunch, and dinner, the same thing.
And they're happy, even though they may not have what you have. And if you have 4 walls over your head, even if it's just one room with a toilet, with a regular shower, because some people here in these countries that we have visited, their bathroom is outside.
And the kitchen.
Outside. They cook on something called dirty kitchens, which means they have to build a fire every time and have one burner, and they're cooking whatever they're cooking. And they use things like local, like there's something called a moringa tree or malunggay tree. They might use that to boil some water, maybe add some broth cubes and some rice or something like that. And I mean, that's basic. So a lot of us that think we don't have or we are lacking, you have no idea how much more you have than so many other people.
So essentially, if we could change the thought of, look what's happening to me, to look what's happening for me. Gain what you're supposed to gain from it. Learn what you're supposed to learn from it. And then we got to move forward. But we get stuck and we stay and we wallow and we talk outwardly to people that's going through the same thing, and we help each other stay right there. Right? And then you like, well, at least we in it together, but you're stuck in it together, right? So what if God is for me as he is in me? Living intentionally means you have to even focus on your words. Do you have a good word? What's coming out of your mouth, right? What are you listening to? So what are we receiving into our ear? Because we also have to focus on our thoughts. What are you reading? What are you watching? What are you listening to? And we got to remember, thoughts turn to things. So we're being intentional on what we put out and what we take in. So going into 2025, you have to create it for yourself. What's my 2025 gonna look like? We didn't already let the cat out the bag. Y'all know we moving. So in 2024, we move to the Philippines. Yes. In 2025, we moving to Bali. And that might be, that's big. But not everything has to be big necessarily. But I'm showing you how we're making changes and we're not fearful and we're looking forward to each thing. And for us, the Philippines was a perfect start. It was slow enough for us to slow down so that we could focus inwardly on our healing of the mind, body, and soul, right? Unfortunately, where we were, so many things going on, so much, everybody's everything, we really couldn't focus on ourselves. Now that we focus inward and we're doing the work, we're going to a place with like-minded people who are also on the journey and doing the work. And so our environment is about to line up with who we are and what we are. And it'll be the first time in my life that I've lived somewhere where people have the similar outlook on life that I do. And so
in terms of wanting to
be healthy, in and out. Yeah.
You know, wanting to have balance. And it's not that people where we come from don't want that, but in general, it's a capitalistic society. So what we focus on there is things in general. That's what we've been conditioned to focus on, which we've had the things, we've sacrificed the things, we've downsized, we've given up the things and sacrificed.
But getting to a place where people are doing yoga and they're meditating and they're coming from a place of peace and where the focus is on love instead of material things, right? And so you gotta
go ahead. Okay. I was gonna go get the fan.
Oh, you had to, baby?
Go ahead.
Okay. So choosing between focusing again on your past, which that's the thing. No matter how bad or good it was, we can't change it. So to focus on it is honestly a waste of time. You can rehash, recap, learn from it, but we got to get it off our plate. So I wrote down, and this was for me, the problems, the plights, the people, the generational curses. I had to let it go. I literally can't carry it into tomorrow nor 2025. Because I realized that focusing on those things, it was contributing to my sickness of my body and my mind. And it had me feeling depleted and depressed. So you either choose between focusing on that, or we decide to, again, live in the now, focus on our day-to-day, and making that better. So I give an example. Finances. Some of us, our finances are so out of whack that we feel like we're struggling. You might have things, but to maintain the things, right? To keep everything going. And then you might, every single nickel that comes in per month, it all might be going out or very close to all of it going out. So if something happens emergency wise, we're going to be upside down or in trouble, right? And so when my wife mentioned earlier, we downsized. Literally, I have it written right here. We downsized. And then I'm going to break that down for you to give you an example. We sold our yacht, our RV, 2 Kias, a BMW, and a Rover. So that's 4 vehicles. We currently own and operate a scooter, right? So those are big things that we got rid of. But in getting rid of those things, not all of them had notes on it. But the ones that did have notes on it, now you no longer have a note. Now you no longer have the car insurance. Now you no longer have to put the gas in it, right? Now you no longer have the repair bills. Now you no longer have the intermittent maintenance on all those things. And so imagine how keeping all those things new, bright, shiny, operating. Imagine how much of our life was just ate up just on maintaining the things, right?
And it's not that we couldn't afford those things, but
I'm talking about actively. Go ahead.
Can I?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So it's not that we couldn't afford those things. It's just that we know what we want more of. We want more of experiences. So instead of tricking off money to all these different things, we are able to save more money, to invest more money,
and prepare for our future.
And prepare for our future. You know, so
right.
This is
so you do have people who have things who can't afford things. But we could afford the things we had, but we weren't committed to the things. We weren't married to the things. We weren't worried, oh, what is such and such going to think if I no longer have this thing, right? What is, are people not going to want to be around us because we can't take them on a boat ride? So a lot of people continue to keep the thing, even if they don't use it anymore or they don't need it anymore, because they're concerned about how it's going to look to the exterior outside thing, right? And so for us, things come in seasons. You know, you do this. We had the RV for about 4 years. We were in boating for 7 years. But I don't have to go into my future doing everything the same way that I've always done it. And so again, that's not being fearful of change, of having new experiences, of doing things differently than I've done them in the past. You got something, babe?
And for people that do hold on to things so that you can't afford, then it's time for a change so that you can put yourself in a situation where you're not stressed out, you know, or you're not able to take care of your basic necessities, or if something major happens in life, you can't afford the situation and you end up upside down.
Even maintaining all the things, all the appointments, the oil change, the repair, the this, the that, we had so much time allocated just to the maintaining of the things. Oh, we don't even feel like going to the boat this weekend, but it needs to be washed, and it needs to be waxed, and it needs to be this, and so a lot of things happen. Even getting Grayson in our lives and picking him up from daycare made it where it was impossible to go an hour and a half. And so we adapt as things that we implement and that we ask for come into our life.
And Grayson is our godson.
And Grayson is our godson. And so we asked to be parents, moms, right? And that came to us in an unexpected way. And when it came, we made the appropriate changes to make it add to our life and make it fit without, again, being upside down, overwhelmed.
And sometimes when we talk about things, I like what Crystal just said. I just cleaned out my closet of things that I don't need. And kudos to you for doing so. I mean, we donated so much stuff over the past year, like furniture pieces.
2 separate donations, yeah.
Yeah, just clothing. I mean, so much clothing. Just things that we have not wore in years, even though you like these things and they come back in style, or they might be back in style.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just makes sense to let it go so that you can lighten your load.
Imagine opening your drawers and your closets and everything is so jam-packed you can't put nothing in or pull nothing out. So the clutter alone, the abundance of things sometimes makes you feel buried, right? And then you still gonna end up wearing your favorites or your whatever, and then you mess around and buy something new that's in the back of the closet with a tag on it. And so when you start living intentionally, like, okay, what am I doing? I used to be into this. I'm not into it anymore, but because I haven't looked at my life, because I haven't reassessed where I currently am, it makes it where you don't move things off your plate that should be removed, right?
And Crystal Kennedy Wood has said, get rid of things that have no value to you.
Absolutely.
That's right.
So, living intentionally for us, we decided another thing that you've heard us say. We want to be celebrated and not tolerated. So, once we assessed the things, we then started to assess the people, whether it be friends, family, associates, or whatever. So, we celebrate our business partners, our friends, our family, but we started to require the same. We want the people that we celebrate to also celebrate us. And we've talked about this before because we're looking for reciprocal relationships, right? Enough of this pouring into the cup, draining, one way, outwardly giving and not receiving. And again, not everything has to be mixed for match. If I give a good word and then you give a good opinion, a good thought, when we get together, we kiki, we enjoy some happy exchange. So Chris and I's goal in life is to help one another, not hinder one another. And everyone in our lives, we want to help them and not hinder. And so we're also seeking for people not to hinder our growth and our process either, right? Again, so we went through the celebrating of people that you have in your life. So that was the other thing that we started paying attention to. Who's in, who's out. You have an inner circle of people that's in your immediate day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month. Once that was cleaned up, we extended it out to even the occasional people. I don't even want you to occasionally hurt me, right? And so once we cleaned up our environment, then new people started to come. And fortunately, it's been beautiful. Like 99% of it has been beautiful of the newness.
And the 1% we cut off.
We cut it off. And so paying attention to how you feel though. This person hurts me. Oh, that makes me feel bad. Every time we aren't around, I think back on it and it wasn't a good experience.
Or every time I go around this person, they talking about politics. I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, whatever it is. And so by getting rid of the clutter of the things and the clutter of our environment, of all the raggediness, it allows us to pay attention to what works and what doesn't work. And so that's what living intention is. It's setting your intention to all the different aspects of your life that could potentially lead to your demise, your downfall, right? And we talk about not turning little things into big things and then being depleted, having no energy for the hurdles, because stuff happens regardless, stuff beyond our control, right? And so having positive, good energy, good exchange, not all that drama. When the stuff came up this year, every time we were like, ugh. But then we had the strength to pick it up and carry it, pick it up and move it, pick it up and fling it.
And believe. And when moments of doubt, get rid of that doubt so that we can, have a positive mindset for a positive outcome.
So, talking about people treat you the way you allow. This is the part where we take ownership. The way people treat you is a reflection of two things. It's either a reflection of how they see you, or it's a reflection of how they feel about themselves. And then they're projecting their garbage onto you. Second part, the way you let people treat you is a reflection of how you see yourself. And we got to remember, complaining but not changing is a choice. Some of us are choosing to just verbally complain, but not remove nothing, not change nothing, not do nothing, right? So, fill in the blank. Change is what? For us, change is good. Not scary, not fearful, not dreading it. So ask yourself, change is what for you? Next question.
And sometimes it can be scary, and that's okay too. But sometimes, even with the fear being there, just go through with the changes and see and have that faith that the change is gonna be good for you. Sometimes we have to go and grow through the process to see that change is good.
Yep. Sitting here right now, I don't feel like I know. My hair is growing, right? And my skin is glowing. So I don't look like what I've been through. But that don't mean I haven't been through it. But I don't have to continue to carry it like a badge of honor. Look how strong I am. I survived. It was horrible. It lasted a long time, but it's over. So when I wake up today and tomorrow, I'm going to enjoy my life.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't make nothing else about you, can you at least make your life about you? What are we here for if not to live our life, right? So the question is, what can you fix? Once we get past being fearful of change, what is it that we're changing? What is it that we're removing? So what are we focused on? Is your faith bigger than your fear? So again, does the circle need to change? Do you need to do an overhaul on your finances? Living intentionally requires us to focus inward. We have to tap in. We have to tune in to our own life. We all know this saying, when you know better, you do better.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of us know, but we're just not doing the doing. We're not implementing the action.
And even as she said, in terms of relationships too, and even intimate relationships,
especially
too, because if you love yourself first, even outside of a marriage or relationship, then you will require that person that you are with to love you, to respect you, to bring positivity to your life. And D requires it of me. And I am willing to be the way that I need to be, because what she requires of me just makes me a better me anyway. But whoever you're with, sometimes if you've been with a person for years and years and years, and it's been a lot of negativity, because we've allowed it, right? Or you've allowed it to happen, to occur. So how do you change your Nurse Chris after so many years? Well, you might have to go to counseling. And if that person isn't willing to go through counseling, then you need to ask yourself, well, what options do I have? Even if it's pastoral counseling, whatever it is, or, sitting down and communicating about it, are you with a partner who is willing to work on themselves? Are you with a partner that's willing to do better, for not just the relationship, but for themselves?
Facts.
So these are things that you have to ask yourself.
So there are people close to you who act like the victim in the problems that they create. And then those same people choose to stay in their situation, in their circumstance. There are also people close to you who are down for you as long as you stay down.
That part.
Because there's something about your down that's beneficial to them. It's benefiting them. You so focused on them and not yourself, you deprive yourself, and it behooves them. There are people who hinder you more than they help you. But you keep them just because they've been around, instead of realizing that there's seasons, right? In the US, there's 4 seasons. In the Philippines, it's 2 seasons. In Bali, there's 2 seasons. So some of it, it's run its course and you got to let it go. So for those that don't want to do all this work per se, make it simple. One piece of paper, draw a line down the middle. On one side, write help. On the other side, write hinder. And go through your Rolodex and place them where they need to be placed. And once you see the hinder side, you got to focus in on that and deal with it. Are you going to continue to allow it to hinder you? There's also people who don't hold you accountable because they don't want to be held accountable. So y'all rag together, y'all hurt each other together, but you saying it like that it's love, right? Because it's a trauma bonded love, or it's it's dangerous. I had people who loved me, but their love was hurting to me. So even in the love, it still was a hindrance. So I still had to let it go. And I still love them. I just love them from afar, enough distance where their toxic love doesn't hurt me. And so sometimes you got to pull the Band-Aid off of it, right? We have to choose ourselves. And in choosing yourself, you realize that you're deserving and you're worthy of more and better. And things constantly are getting better in spite of the hiccups, the uh-ohs, the things that are beyond our control. We are definitely looking forward to life still. There's more to come.
And they say trauma bonding is what it's called.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
That's it.
All right. So for 2025, and again, we're saying for 2025 because we are going into a new year, but truly we talk about living with intention on a daily basis, because as we continue to live this life, if you are not learning, if you are not, changing with the times and the circumstances, then you are not growing, in your mind. It doesn't matter what age we are, it's never too late to make changes to how we are. We have a follower who I know that had been listening to us, and she got to a point in her life where she said, hey, for the first time in my life, I'm able to say no. Because,
and that seems small, but it's not.
But it's not, especially when you are a yes person and you're always giving of yourself and not giving enough to yourself.
Facts.
So, that's just one example of the changes that could be made and should be made for certain people. So
if we don't do nothing else, if we could focus on ourselves, if we could prioritize us. I look at myself like a rock or a pebble. You ever fling rocks, or what do you call it? Pebble. You throw the pebble in the water, and not skipping rocks, but literally just plop a rock in the water. You know that ripple effect that goes out? Well, the ripples are all the people in your life. And so when I'm clear, when I'm healthy, when I'm good, I affect my family, my friends, my community. My vibration is beautiful for those that are open to receive it. But when I'm not good, look at the effect that I would have on everybody around me. So to hurt you is going to hurt others. And so in healing myself and having enough sense to finally say, ooh, I need to protect myself as well. So the people that were having that negative ripple out on me, I just had to remove it. And then what happens is it slows down. Just like getting rid of the things. When you get rid of a lot of people, is quiet. You actually have the time to assess your life, focus in on yourself, figure out, okay, I just did that for 51 years. What do my next 49 years look like? I'm just assuming I'll be almost 100, right? But the point is, we are focused in on today and forward.